I'm happy to say Americans wake up to the realization that it's the mechanics that we need to attack and change in order to truly liberate us from the yokes of this two-party system that are playing us. They're manipulating us. They're making us hate our fellow Americans. It's wrong, it's evil, but it's going to take the people of this country to come together and say, we still have our future and our destiny in our hands, and we're going to take it back.
What you said was right on the money. The piece that I deal with constantly is the idea of someone telling me, Larry, we love you. You are super handsome, which is true. But what they're actually saying is, we would love to support you, but I can't support you. I can't support you because then the other guy will win or the other person will win. And the weird part is, Andrew and I are from the same area. We're both from Queens. New York City is 6-1 Democrat to Republican. We know who's going to win. Right, we know who's going to win. In fact, our governor at the time, I'm sure you guys all love him, Andrew Cuomo, big fans? Big fans? No, okay. He actually said earlier during that year, he said, we're going to have an election to figure out who's our mayor in June. Our election is in November. He said June because that's the primary. To your point exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
He said whoever wins the primary is the mayor. There's no chance for anyone else to win. Statewide, my state is 3-1 Democrat to Republican. Better, I guess, but still the same thing. And people say, Larry, I can't vote for you because the other guy might win. But Andrew was talking about ranked choice voting. And there's a super strength to this. And a super strength to it, which some people don't get, is it allows you to vote both offensively and defensively, both of them. So I can say, I love Larry Sharpe, I'm going to vote for him. But I'm scared if he doesn't win, he'll take the votes away from my guy or my gal. So what will I do? I'll put that person second. Larry's first, the person who I want is second, and I don't vote for the person who I don't want. So if Larry wins, we get the best looking governor in New York. That's awesome. If Larry doesn't win, the vote still goes to the other person. I can vote now defensively. So it's offensive first, defensive second. And the most important piece about that, let's say some crazy reason I don't win, insane, but let's say I don't win. But let's say in the first round I actually get 25% of the vote. What does that tell the Democrats and Republicans? To Andrew's point, that so many people are upset and worried that 25% of the electorate doesn't want them or is upset about them or wants more of whatever Larry Sharpe's given. They want that, which means by default, if you have a stronger third party, whether that's a forward party, whether that's a libertarian party, independent party, you will by default have better Republicans and better Democrats because they will have to answer to the people who are concerned. That one, yes, you can clap, go ahead, she's right, she's right. This is a critical piece we don't understand. Look, Democrats are supposed to be about civil liberties, I mean, supposed to be, but they don't have to be. All they have to say is, Republicans bad. That's their entire campaign, ask Joe Biden. That's their entire campaign, Republicans bad. Well, if all of a sudden you have a third party saying, wait a minute, you've got to do what you say, you've got to care about the people, Democrats will have to do that. Republicans too, they're supposed to be about small government. They haven't been. If all of a sudden now there's a third party going, why are you spending so much money in a place that we don't want you to spend it? They'll have to listen. The value of a third party, the value of ranked choice voting is far more than most people think. Am I wrong here?
Oh, no, you're completely right, Larry. And the answer to a lot of our ills is what you just said, which is true competition.
Yeah.
Right now you have a fake competition going on between the two parties, but in 90% of our areas, it's essentially one-party rule. And when you talk to people in that community, they don't actually feel like they're being answered to by their leaders or representatives because their leaders and representatives can essentially ignore them and be like, hey, I'm just going to coast back into my seat regardless. I talked to a conservative Republican in West Virginia this week who's a coal miner, and he feels taken for granted by the Republican Party. And I said, what Larry just said is like, look, competition is just good for everyone. It's good for Republicans who want their party to listen to them. It's for Democrats who want their party to listen to them. I was with a black community in the west side of Chicago, and that's blue, deep blue area, and they felt taken for granted by the Democratic Party, and they were looking for help. There are Latino communities that feel that way, guaranteed. I've talked to Latino communities who are in this camp. I'm going to say there are Asian communities who feel this way. So there are many, many Americans who, even if they're more aligned to one party or the other, know that their party could do a better job of actually responding to what they want to see out of their leadership. So if you have the same person and their incentives are better, that's a win, am I right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or maybe with term limits, different people. I'd be down with that too.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
So it's like you want better people in many cases, but if you have the same person, you at least want them to have to answer to us.
I always say that, right? When I become the governor of New York, I won't do it for any more than 8 years. And people say, Larry, we like you, but what if you're corrupt? I said, I can't be yet. You got to give me some time before I can be corrupt, right? I don't have my cronies set up yet. Give me 8 years, I'll be corrupt, then throw me out. And then you have someone else new, right? Term limits does that, yes. But something else we don't realize, we focus usually on term limits only on executives. That's the focus. To be forward, term limits should be for everybody. Right? Everybody, not just executives. And we want to focus on all of them. There's corruption in the Congress too. I know you're shocked by that.
I was actually talking about Congress when I was talking about
there we go, yes,
I was talking about congressional term limits.
Yes, absolutely. We want term limits on everything. I see people focusing on just the executive, all of them. Term limits are good for everybody. I think that's a critical piece. Yes.
And again, as the numbers guy, 74% of Americans are for term limits in both parties. So what kind of system do you have when 3/4 of us can want something and it's common sense, but no, we can't have it?
Yes.
Again, this is a rigged game. We have to unrig the game, and it starts by just raising our hands and saying, let's do away with these closed party primaries that are shutting us out.
I got to add the primary piece. I love that. The open primaries piece is so important. I know some people are upset. Some of my libertarian brothers go, wait a minute, Larry, you don't want to have open primaries. These are, parties, and they should be able to do what they want within their parties. In theory, I get the argument, but in practice, what happens, particularly with gerrymandered districts, is you just disenfranchise a huge chunk of people. That's what actually happens. The outcome is people are disenfranchised. People say, well, wait a minute, Larry, if I'm a Democrat and there's a Republican, what I'll do is I'll have all my Democrats vote for the Republican to make sure that I get the right Republican that I want in. I hear that all the time. So you're telling me that Democrats are having their own primary and they're going to sacrifice their own votes to get some Republican? I don't think that's going to happen.
There's some very, very bizarre game playing going on because of the perverse nature of this system. We all know it. There's all this weird elevate this candidate because we think they'll be more beatable, all this nonsense. If you go back to our founding, there were 0 political parties in the Constitution. There's nothing about Democrats or Republicans. George Washington famously warned against partisanship on his way out. John Adams said parties would be an evil across the land. Madison said you don't want factions that don't shift. And so now we have this two-party system that's like our founding fathers' worst nightmare come to life, that has been becoming overgrown with all these weeds and barnacles for the last, 160 years or so. We are well past due for a political realignment. It should have happened a generation or two ago, but the two parties are fighting it tooth and nail. So that's what we have to overcome, but the time is now.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And then you keep seeing it, many of you do. You see talented people in your party, and you say, she's gonna be great, or he's gonna be great, and then somehow they get crushed by the establishment. That's the biggest thing. They're crushed by the establishment, they don't get anything done, they're not able to move forward, and then they wind up either becoming something else. They leave and become a pundit or something else because they can't get anything done, and they actually feel like they do more outside the system than in. That's not healthy.
I'm actually gonna try this out because I'm really curious. Think for a moment, what do you think the ideal number of political parties should be in the United States of America? You just like come up with it. So we're gonna do show of hands, this will be fun. How many of you think it should be a one-party system?
Where am I communist?
Right, yeah.
Where am I communist?
Yeah. So one party is like the worst possible. Two parties the second worst. How many of you like the two-party system? Not to put pressure on you, because some of you like it, boo. All right, 3, 4, 5, 0. More than 5. All right.
I want 330 million.
So, which would be 0, yeah, yes. I'm with you. Yes. All right, so I think the founders would agree that the ideal number would be 0. And I think that we can agree it's like, yeah, that would be optimal. But in practical terms, it's almost impossible for it to be 0. So after you leave 0, you want it to be a number greater than 2. Like 3 is a lot better than 2. But in my mind, the current Democratic Party should probably be 2 parties. The current Republican Party should probably be 2 parties. There should probably be an independent party, a libertarian party, and that already gets you to something like 6. And in that system, I think we'd get actually a lot more genuine debate, genuine representation, genuine competition, because if you are ignoring people, you're going to get overtaken pretty quick. And to Larry's point, instead of having all these people who are on the outside of the system looking in, you'd have different parties rising and falling.
Yeah.
To the extent that there's something consistent with our founders' design, that is infinitely closer to our founders' design than this mess we have right now.
And the problem that we're dealing with right now that makes all of this even harder is what I bring up often, which is ballot access. And some of you may not know what that means. That means, how do you get on the ballot so that someone can vote for you? And you would think, well, that's got to be pretty easy, right? No, it is super hard. In our state, New York State, it is virtually impossible. To get on the ballot in New York State on a statewide election, you have to get 45,000 signatures in 6 weeks.
Yeah, and Governor Cuomo just played dirty games.
Correct.
Like both the Democrats and Republicans, I'm actually more familiar with the Democrats playing dirty, maybe it's because of where I live. But Cuomo, someone got on the ballot and then they just turned around and changed the rules on them.
Yes.
So imagine if you were a third party, you knock yourself out getting thousands and thousands of signatures, and then you celebrate and say, we made it, we did it, and then they just move the goalposts on you.
Let me give you the both sides.
That's happened
the both
any number
sides.
of times.
In New York, 2018, some of you remember I ran in 2018, got over 100,000 votes, got ballot access from my party status for 4 years. Within 2 years, they removed ballot access with a stroke of a pen. It was literally Cuomo. He put it in his budget, and we lost ballot access, everything gone. I'd gone from 0 libertarians in my state to 107 local victories in 1 year. 107 libertarians in New York. That happened in 2019. And then by 2020, all gone, erased. So now I'm out doing it again. It cost me over $300,000 to get in the ballot. Yes, doing it again. $300,000, and guess who's suing me to get off the ballot now? The Republicans. So the Democrats threw me off the first time, Republicans are trying to throw me off this time. So now I'm in court again, trying to throw me off the ballot. So yes, getting on the ballot is hard. And here's the worst part. You know who couldn't get on the ballot in my state? A sitting congressman. Couldn't do it. A multimillionaire. Couldn't do it. How's the average person gonna do it? It's impossible. And if you can't get on the ballot just to be voted on, how can you make any impact? The 300 grand that I spent, that didn't count Facebook ads or flyers. That was just to get petitioners to get things done and to pay consultants. That's all that was. It was insane.
Yeah, and it's not just the money, it's the blood, sweat, and tears,
yes,
and volunteers and everyone going to their neighbors and the rest of it.
Burnout.
Just scratching that out with a dirty trick, it's really anti-democratic.
Yes.
I mean, right now the system needs to evolve or it's going to crumble. And I still have hope that we can have a democracy that lives up to its name.
100%. I call this the bro program. So you remember it. Remember, 2 bros. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure.
I'll take it, man.
Anyway, the bro program.
Wait, no, I've got the name.
Go ahead.
The new rush hour.
Ooh, the new rush hour.
What do you think?
I love it. I will change my name to Chris if required. Yes, done deal, 100%, yes. Some of you didn't get that joke. Anyway, it's rush hour 4 is what it is. It's fine, it's rush hour 4, yes, absolutely. BRO stands for ballot access, R stands for ranked choice voting, and O stands for open primaries. If we remember that acronym, ballot access, ranked choice voting, and open primaries, you will see a change in this nation to where we'll all be happier. Whether some of you keep your old parties or come to the cool new parties, rush hour 4, if you want to join the cool people. You can do that too, but either way, this will make things better.
So as you can see, Larry and I have both arrived at the same conclusions from different angles. And I'm happy to say Americans wake up to the realization that it's the mechanics that we need to attack and change in order to truly liberate us from the yokes of this two-party system that are playing us. They're manipulating us. They're making us hate our fellow Americans. It's wrong, it's evil, but it's going to take the people of this country to come together and say, we still have our future and our destiny in our hands, and we're going to take it back. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Let's
guys.
get Larry
Thank
Sharpe
you.
on the ballot
Thank you.
and into the governor's mansion in New York.
So good. Great, man. Great.
Thank you.
Oh my God! It's a couple of New Yorkers trying to save the world and democracy.